Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch the Movie. I'm Mike, and he's Jay, and we're reviewing Misery, Stephen King's Misery, for Stephen King Week.
But this wasn't a miserable movie at all.
Misery, not at all.
It made me miserable. It was fucking. It was one of those movies that are like it's all enclosed in this one little thing.
Yeah.
It happens between Kathy Bates and James Caan. The whole movie takes place between these two people.
Yep.
And so Paul Sheldon, played by James Caan, is a successful book writer. I wonder why, because Stephen King wrote this fucking bitch.
He loves him some him.
What does that mean? So Paul Sheldon is a famous, successful author of a book series called Misery, and he's tired of writing them and all this shit, and he's on his final draft that he's going to publish and it's going to be over. Yeah. Well, this super fan called Annie, played by Kathy Bates, is a psycho, and James Caan is on his way home. He wrecks. Kathy Bates finds him, takes him, rescues him, nurses him back to health in this dirty old log cabin in the middle of nowhere, and holy fuck, Mr. Man, she's fucking scary.
We watched a movie. Yeah. We watched a movie. We watched it. We watched a movie. Yeah. You know what? We did a review. We watched a movie.
She takes
This has got to be up there with the top like kidnapping movies of all time. Because
Yeah.
I mean, she fucking she explains it to him when she's there too. This is a spoiler review, by the way. I mean, surely everybody's seen Misery by now. But yeah, I mean, she explains this. She's like, "I'm your number one fan," and then she goes and she pries him out of this fucking car in the middle of this blizzard and takes him back to her house, puts him in this bed. His legs are all fucked up. You don't know if she did that or if the wreck did that. Right?
No, I think that when she was landing, his legs were fucked up on her own because that was a bad accident. I mean, he was almost dead.
She did it.
You know, well, that's not true.
Yeah, but I mean, she does all this fucked up shit, and it's like the perfect slow burning pace. Like she gets a little bit crazier and a little bit crazier. At first, he thinks she's trying to help me. She tries to lie. She says, "Oh, I can't get a hold of your family because the phones are down, or I can't do this or that, or the roads are down because of this." And she has this perfect story. But then once she finally breaks that character and like she spills that tomato soup on her, she's like, "What have I done? I knew I'd be a more popular person if I could just control my temper." Like, dude, she is so freaking perfect as a crazy person.
I love Kathy Bates in this. I loved her. She's like psychotic, obsessed. She's got all the qualities that make it like what's so good about this movie. And it's like, I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't put my finger on the button. Why it was so good? But I guess it is because it's slow burning and it's such. The whole movie, like I said, takes place with just between these two people, and the characterization and the interaction between them are so
the
well
slow
done.
burning, as they mentioned, is perfect because it's like it really transgresses in this slow, creepy way. Kind of like, you know that scene in Training Day where Ethan Hawke's at the house and like Denzel Washington screws him and leaves him there, and he slowly realizes that they're gonna fucking kill him. That's kind of like that feeling that you get with this movie. It's like he's slowly realizing, along with the audience, that she means business and she's not fucking around, and it gets scary as shit.
She's kind of like, I guess she would almost be considered kind of like the witch in Hansel and Gretel, like a really sweet old woman, and then all of a sudden she fucking snaps on you. She's like, "I'm gonna eat your fat ass." That's what's gonna happen. And it's like, if you were, imagine where you're at her house or something, and she was like giving you peanut butter cookies, you're like, "Oh, they're very good." It's like, "You don't like the peanut butter, Mr. Man?" It's like, "No, it's good."
That was great when she would say Mr. Man. I was like, and Kathy Bates is like the perfect mom material, isn't she? She's angry mom, but psycho angry.
She was like Nurse Ratched on steroids.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking crazy.
But like especially the part where like that whole scene. Oh my god, dude! Like the whole scene when she brought him all that paper to finish his novel.
Yeah.
She's like, "You're gonna rewrite this whole thing. You're gonna rewrite everything." And he was like, "Okay." And then she buys him the paper, and he's like, "This is a smudge." And she's like, he goes, "Just I need this kind of paper." And he's like, "Thank you for telling me this." And she's like, "Maybe you should show a little bit more appreciation." She takes this whole fucking typer and slams it on his legs.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Like, maybe next time I'll bring you back the whole star. It's like when your mom brings you Cheetos and you're like, "I wanted the cheesy puffs."
But James Caan was like, James Caan was like, "Well, why don't you bring back the cops while you're at it?"
No, but every time like he would get away. I mean, they had several people they planned to play this role. I mean, Jack Nicholson turned it down, Warren Beatty turned it down, like Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, all these crazy people turned it down. But James Caan was perfect because he was willing to play like the victim.
Yeah, James Caan was really good.
I think as a guy playing a victim, to Kathy Bates, I mean that might have taken a little bit, but she was so damn creepy. And dude, when I was watching it, the things she would say, like when she pulls out the gun and she's like, "I have to go get some bullets. I might use them." Like, that's the perfect line that you would read in a Stephen King book and be like, "Oh shit, that's freaky as hell." But then typically you'd watch it when it was adapted.
Adaptation.
When it was adapted, you would watch it and you'd be like, "Wow, that wasn't as freaky as it was in the book." But when she says it, it really is. Like, she is freaking perfect. She won a freaking Oscar for it, and she's well-deserved.
She deserved it, yeah. Well, the thing is, I think Stephen King gave an interview and said this was the scariest novel for him he ever wrote. And that makes sense because, he's a famous writer, and he's got these fucking psycho fans out there. I mean, that this could happen to him. So he said, this is the scariest novel. But it's so different from a normal Stephen King movie because it's not supernatural at all. But I think it's even scarier because this could actually happen to somebody.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I mean, you've got the, you know what he wrote it about? He wrote it about, he finally came out and said, this is about basically my dependency on drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Kathy Bates embodied, what's the word I'm looking for? Kathy Bates embodies like my addiction to drug and alcohol, how I couldn't escape it. I would hobble away and try to get away and couldn't escape it. But I mean, and that's some deep shit. But the basic thing is that I mean, like he's so trapped in this situation, he can't move his legs. He finally like Bobby pins the lock out of the door and crawls away to safety. But when he picks up that phone and there's nothing in it, you're just like, oh fuck!
Yeah, but he says it right. There's a crazy bitch. But the thing is, like that moment. I was watching this with my wife, and that moment when he's crawling through the house trying to figure out where the phone is and trying to get, or when he's actually on his wheelchair, when he was in his wheelchair, and he's like going through the house trying to find a phone, trying to find a way out. That was intense as fuck. And like my wife's hands were, oh my god, I'm sweating. Like her hands were sweating and shit because it is intense. He's like, is she coming back? When she coming back? I don't know when she's coming back.
It's just such a realistic situation.
Yeah.
Like even if you're not a famous writer, I mean, if someone, it's one of the, it's just that's what makes it one of the best kidnapping movies.
But she's also so like she's so like. Pinpoint accuracy on everything in the house. She knew when he'd been out because she's like, I always turn the penguin the other way.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck.
Yeah, and then they turn on this crazy aspect when he goes through her like record books and finds out that she was like a fucking child murderer.
Yeah,
that's even
I liked it when she was like saying when she had that big gorilla in there. She's like, just burn this, and he wouldn't do it. And then he's like, I have like more copies. It's gonna get out. And she's like, I know you don't because you said in an interview that you never do that because you're afraid that people wouldn't like your stuff. So you make one copy of it only. She knew all this shit about him, and she's walking around his bed throwing the lighter.
When she was doing the lighter fluid thing, I was like, oh fuck, Kathy Bates.
I was like, I'll do it. I'll suck
God damn it, Annie.
I would do. I'd be like, so I just give it.
Oh, how pissed were you though? How pissed were you at the scene where he finally gets to sit down dinner with her? He's been hiding those pills away. You're like, smart James Caan, very smart. And then he's putting those things away. He finally gets to sit down dinner with her, and then he puts it in the drink, and she fucking spills it. I was like, God damn it!
Well, now the only thing I can say that was wrong with this movie, I guess, was there's not much wrong with it, but the one thing is like the cop that's in this Buster. I don't remember the guy's name, the old man that plays him.
Yeah, he's amazing in the movie.
He's a great
actor.
But I just I didn't even get what they were trying to do. Like James Caan, Paul Shelton has been missing for a long time apparently, but this cop in this small little duck town of nowhere, Duck Dynasty, is somehow gets it in his head that Kathy Bates has something to do with this after he sees her like saying something to this car in the middle of Main Street, and he starts watching her, and then all of a sudden he puts two and two together, and he's like, oh, it's her. I don't know how you did that.
I get what they're trying to go with it. That there's so little shit actually happening in the town that he's like, I got to do something with my time. Why not just go get these books and read them? But they just didn't explain it very much. Because, I mean, like, why was he even reading the misery books? They didn't do a good job of saying why.
He was reading the misery books, and then he quoted a line from that.
Yeah, and it just happened to be that perfect line.
Yeah, and then he was looking through newspaper clippings, and he sees that was the same exact line that Kathy Bates' character had used when she was accused of killing those kids or whatever in the nursing home or in the children's hospital. And then he decides to go out and see her after he goes to the general store. He's like, has she been buying anything weird?
For a movie that's so realistic, that was way too perfect.
He was like the old Sherlock Holmes. Like, immediately he did. He was like, I wonder.
But you gotta admit, when he was in the house, you were so rooting for him. You're like, go in the fucking basement. Go in the fucking basement. And he finally did. And then she shot him, and that put that, like, they weren't fucking around. They were like, no. She put a hole in him in this big... That bastard's dead. And he felt bad for him because he's an awesome actor. He was amazing in that movie. I like the repertoire between him and his wife. He's like, that kind of spites why we don't have a good relationship. You know, I love that shit. I thought his character was awesome. I just thought they should have done a little bit better job of explaining why he was reading the books and how he figured it out. It was kind of hokey.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, I don't think they did a good job at all of explaining how he figured it out because he's a friggin' backwoods sheriff. He doesn't. And he said, I'm the sheriff, I'm the commissioner, I'm this. So they pretty much characterize him in the very beginning of the movie as this like moronic cop that is in this small town that nothing happens in. All of a sudden he's super cop and he knows everything. Yeah. Kathy Bates was crazy obviously in this town and she's got a reputation, but how do you put it together?
Well, that's another thing. Like, how is not that? I mean, in a small town like that where not many people have that many secrets, is she not the first person you go to anyway? Like, the bitch was killing, and they never really explained how she got away with it either. They were just like, oh, she killed babies, but she claimed not innocent, or she claimed innocent and she got away with it.
What I would have understood is like maybe when the car wrecked. You know, I know he was trying to get down there to see if he could find the car, but when they did find the car, it's like, what is close proximity to this car? And they couldn't find the body.
That would have made more sense.
And then they found the house out there. Yeah, and he's like, well, maybe the wild animals killed him. I was like, why didn't you find something?
And of course, you got the guy who was in Needful Things that popped up to
Buster.
Me. Like, and he was just kind of like the perfect, like, oh, well, case solved. He got ate by wild animals. Fuck everybody. Good night. And you're like, damn.
Yeah, well,
I
that
don't give a
was
shit
it.
about anybody.
So-
But no, okay, so the main scene though. The main scene.
which one?
The fucking sledgehammer to the feet.
Oh, hobbling.
Holy shit.
I had to mute that part.
Oh my god, dude. As soon as she hit us down, I was by myself sitting. I was watching on my computer and I had earphones in. And when you saw his foot go, I was like, ah!
Bad.
Like, what the fuck, man? That looked so painful. That was such an awesome scene. And originally in the book, or they were going to have it as that she cut his leg off. That was so much more.
I thought when I first saw it, not when they hobbled him, but when you saw how badly his legs were damaged, I
Yeah.
thought they were going to have to amputate it anyway because it was so fucked up. But when she hobbled him, that's mute time for me. I'm not even listening.
That was
Go,
hardcore.
click. But you know, another thing that James.
Thank God they didn't show the second foot, because the first foot you saw go like this,
Yeah.
and they didn't show the second foot. I was like, thank
What
God.
if James Conner says, "Look, that didn't hurt"? He's like, I don't even care.
Try it
but,
again.
But the thing was, it's like I
You
thought
hit like a vegetarian.
you look like a puppet. But James Caan did so well on that, like how he, like you could feel how badly. I mean, it looked like it hurt, but you know, you get some of those actors couldn't show it that how badly it hurt.
But it's James fucking Caan.
And he was like, oh fuck. I was like, I'd have passed out too. I would have passed out when she was like, it's like, yeah, okay, wait a minute.
And James Caan had the whole movie, he had the perfect kind of like, I'm trying to trick you into believing I'm okay with this, to the perfect kind of spite, to the person, like, when she looks down and she's like, hi, darling, and he's like, fuck you, bitch, right towards the end. Like, he played that role
That
so
part was
perfectly.
funny though when she was like that on the yard with the pig and he did this and then she was like, "You're such a kidder."
Yeah. That's everybody.
Well, the thing is, I didn't. Also, I kind of thought it was kind of corny and stupid for me was the end. That he hit this bitch with a fucking typewriter on her head. He beat the shit out of her with a bunch of other stuff, choked her, fucking mashed her eyes in when he was trying to get away. And then the last thing that really kills her, and she also fell over and hit her friggin' face on the side of the
That was
typewriter.
nasty, by the way.
Yeah, but she didn't die. It took forever to kill her, and then finally, what finally does kill her is like this friggin' metal pig thing to the head, and she dies right away. But she just couldn't, like, it was like she was superhuman. I mean, if you get hit on the head with this heavy ass fucking typewriter from that far away, you're gonna die. I mean, you're at least gonna fucking be hurting for a
I don't know
while.
that, man, because she was like a stage 57 clinger.
That's like the stage infinity.
Yeah.
It's just like, I won't leave you.
Yeah.
But, okay, so yeah, my rating's gonna be an 8.5. I mean, it was solid ass movie. It's one of my favorite Stephen King movies. There's just little things I didn't like about it, but still, it's fucking fun.
There's a tiny little things I didn't like about it for me, but it's a 9.0 for me. That movie is classic, just pure horror, and I think it stands alone as far as like the particular type of horror it brings.
Yeah.
That's one of the best Stephen King adaptations ever. Kathy Bates, I mean, she deserved
Well,
the
next to
Oscar
like
for it.
Shawshank.
Yeah, and James Caan was amazing in it. It was a scary movie on like this weird level. Like you got horror, you got gore, you got this and that, and then you got misery off here to the side. I mean, it just does its own thing.
Well, it was the best
I
thing
love
about it was there's no supernatural at all. That's why it's so scary because it
So
can really
it was
happen.
fucking realistic and it was scary,
Yeah.
and I liked every character in it. Even Kathy Bates had depth to her. I mean, it was every character in it. The sheriff was amazing. I
I didn't even mind that they didn't really give much backstory on Kathy Bates other than saying that when they actually did, but he finds it in a unique way. They don't really explain it. By finding those newspaper clippings, that was pretty unique.
Yeah, but
And
they
then
led to it so well, and not just that, but it's one of those few Stephen King movies where the town creepiness really works to its advantage because they're so isolated.
Well,
So-
yeah, but
so
that was the best thing though. Is they didn't the isolationism of just those two in that room. That was scary.
fucking fantastic movie. So, guys, that's our review of Misery. I give it a 9.0. Jay gives it an 8.5. The question of the day is going to be, obviously, I mean, what is... I don't know. What's your favorite kidnapping movie of all time? What do you think is the freakiest kidnapping situation in a film portrayed of all time? This would be it for me.
As far as kidnapping or just being closed up in a house,
Either or.
I take The Strangers as far as like that.
Over this?
Yeah, dude, as far as like the terror that they put these people through, like for no reason. Because I mean, in The Strangers, they literally had no reason to do it. She had a reason. She had motive to do it.
I'm Mike. He's Jay. We'll see you next time on Bring Me the Right Typewriter.
We watched a movie. Yeah. We watched a movie.